Hey guys, good evening again. This is Pierre Laguerre with day 13 of my 100-day challenge. And again, if you're doing your own challenge, let me know what kind of challenge you're actually going to take on, right? Whether it's a 3-day fast, I don't know, 21-day Daniel fast, 40 days of writing, 90 days of reading the Bible, whatever it is you're doing, I'd love to find out. And I do have a gift for you when you let me know at eonthemove.com/challenge. So go ahead and take up your challenge. It's your time, it's your turn. So, anyway, yesterday we spoke about who's got the power. And I hope you go back and listen to that episode because there's definitely some important things that I shared in there with you, right? So, let's go on today with whose faith is it anyway, right? So, whose faith is it? At the end of the day, we want to make sure that the faith that we're using, it's not just faith in our own faith, but we understand whose faith it is that we're using, right? Understand that faith is your positive response to God's grace. What God has already given, what is made available to you, by faith, you appropriate it. And if you're not appropriating what God has already made available, is because you do not yet fully understand how faith works. And I think this is very important because He's made so much available to us. And it's going to be up to us to decide, am I willing to take it on? Am I willing to appropriate what He's made available? So in Mark chapter 11, when Jesus comes against the fig tree with His disciples, and the next day they were passing by and they were like, wow, Peter said, look, the tree that you cursed, already it has withered, right? It dried up from the root. So Jesus told Peter and the other disciples that were with him, have the faith of God. And there, Mark 11:22, He's telling them, not simply have faith in God, right? But have the same kind of faith that God has. And frankly, when you go to the book of Ephesians, it says to us that grace, right? We are saved by grace through faith. And that is nothing but the gift of God. You know, the grace, that's God's gift. And even the faith that we use to appropriate salvation, to say, wow, I heard the good news, I want this for me. Even that faith, believe it or not, God gave you that faith as well. Now, that's a good God right there. He gave you the good news and then He gave you the ability to believe it and receive it. And so again, faith absolutely will appropriate what God has made available by grace. Faith is your positive response to what God has made available by grace, right? So now the other place where it's important to recognize whose faith it is in Galatians 2:20. And I'll try my best here to read it by memory, right? Let's go by memory and see. It basically says, and I'm going to go to it directly. The life which I now live, and this is the second part, it says, Christ lives in me, right? I'm crucified. There it is. I'm crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. But the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God. And this is really important. The faith of the Son of God, right? Who loves me or who loved me and gave Himself for me. So the life that you're not living, you're living it by the faith of the Son of God. In other words, it's not your faith. A lot of times people can say, well, I have faith. Look, I'm sitting on this chair. I have faith that this chair will hold me up. That's a natural form of faith. That's not the supernatural faith that God has given us. That supernatural faith that is given us, we can see anything. And remember a few episodes back, you have the evidence. Faith becomes the evidence. Even before you see the result, you already have the evidence. And the evidence, of course, comes because you recognize the promise. You already have a picture of the promise fulfilled. And that's why faith is such a strong force. So again, understand, it's not just your faith. It is the faith of God, like Jesus told those disciples in Mark 11:22. And that faith was given to you as a gift to even be able to partake of the grace of God, what is made available to you, starting from salvation, which is a complete package, right? Which incorporates healing, which incorporates resurrection from the dead, which incorporates forgiveness of sins. All these things, right? Deliverance, all those things are part of that salvation package. If you go in the Hebrew, the word Yeshua means delivered, saved, right? It means all these words in the Greek and then in the English, in the translation. But here it is. You can receive all that by the faith of the Son of God. And that's really, truly powerful, because even Jesus in John 17 prayed for his disciples, those that were with him and those that were to come, that this word, that we would receive this word and that our faith would grow. Because again, how does faith come? But by the word. So he absolutely prayed that the Father would keep us safe in this world, and more importantly, keep his word safe, so that we, these disciples that are now almost 2,000 years later, we can absolutely still exercise that faith of the Son of God. And that's really powerful. So if you have questions, if you have comments, of course, please feel free, go ahead and share those questions. And of course, if you're watching here on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe these kinds of videos, because I want to bring more of them to you. And of course, I want this to be a conversation. I want you to let me know. It doesn't matter when you see this video, a year from now, 10 years from now, God willing. And of course, I'll be around, right, to still answer your questions on these videos. And the reason I'm sharing that is because this is a platform where it seems to be truly a library. What you put up today, you don't know who's going to find it tomorrow. So that's why I would encourage you to do your own challenge and declare it to the world. This is what I'm doing. Well, in my case, 100 days. And if you have your own challenge you're doing, go ahead, let me know. beyondthemove.com/challenge, and I'll gladly send you a gift. Again, it's Pierre Laguerre. I'll see you on the next episode and catch you tomorrow. Enjoy.